about tracking changes to a document. So this is a very useful feature that allows you to make changes in your document without permanently changing the document. So basically, all the changes are displayed. They are marked in the document, but you have the opportunity to either accept those changes or reject them. So you can make some temporary adjustments, some temporary changes, and then decide whether you want to keep the changes or whether you want to go back to the previous version. And you can do that for each individual change. You can also save this document before accepting the changes and, for example, send the document to someone else for review so that they can see what changes you've made, and perhaps they can decide if the changes should be accepted or not, or which changes should be accepted and which should be rejected. So let's see how it works. So in order to record the changes, we need to go to Edit, Track Changes, Record. You can also see this other option, Show. So this means that all the changes will be visible. When we disable this, we'll be able to record, but we won't see the changes. So to see the changes, we'll need to enable this again. So I'm going to leave this on and I'm going to select Record. So now we are in record mode. So all the changes will be recorded and displayed. So for example, in these paragraphs, there are tabs used for indentation. So I'm going to remove that. And you can see that this is indicated with this line. So this tab is crossed out. So if I delete something, for example, we have this word many here, I'm going to delete it, and you can see that it's highlighted in this orange brownish color and it's crossed out. And now if I replace it with a lot, then you can see that this is also highlighted and this is underlined. So all the added items will be underlined and the deleted items will be crossed out. Right? So I can continue like this, and you can also see that each line that has had some things changed in it has this vertical line here on the left. So I'm going to make a few more changes so that you see how this works, right? So you can even cross out this smiley face. And if I change something in styles, this will not be recorded. So we are talking about actually changing the text or the formatting manually here. Because obviously there's no way that styles could be displayed here, or the changes to styles. So this is not about styles, this is about editing the texts, mainly about making changes to the actual text. But when we talk about formatting, also changes to manual formatting will be recorded. So if I, for example, select a word and make it bold, you can see that it gets highlighted. So it becomes bold, but it also becomes this orange brownish color. Now if I select the whole text here and I change the language, not in styles but manually again, so I select character and I go to language here, and I change the language to English here, you can see that the whole text gets highlighted, and we've got these vertical lines as well. So we know that some changes have been made here. So these changes have not been applied. We can always get back, we can always reject the changes. So all the changes that I'm making are temporary. And when I save the document, anyone who opens the document will be able to see those changes. And they will be able to either accept or reject. Of course, you can protect your changes by using a password. So there is that option. So you can see this option here, protect, and you can input a password and confirm it. So then you can, for example, send the document to someone and provide them with the password, or you can just keep the password to yourself so that nobody who opens the document can actually meddle with those changes. So that's a safety feature. So when I hover my mouse over the changes, you can see that this tooltip appears. For example, here we've got deleted, Paweł Cisło, and we've got the date and the time. So each change is recorded, the date and the time is recorded, the type of change, in this case deleted, but if we move over here, you can see formatted, because the formatting has been changed. Well, the language has been changed to be specific, but here language is part of the formatting. So we can also add comments to these changes. Each change can be commented. You can add comments to each of the changes. And this is different from the regular comments that you can add to the text. So the regular comment is, for example, if I want to add a comment to this word, I can go to Insert Comment, and the shortcut is Ctrl-Alt-C. And of course, then the comment will be displayed here. I can type the comment and the comment will be saved with the text. But there are specific comments for the changes that you make here. So of course, everything can be accessed from this menu, but if you're working with tracking changes, there is a toolbar that you might want to turn on so that you have access to all those features and easy access. So if you go to View, Toolbars, you've got Track Changes. And you can see that this toolbar appears. And it's got all these features, all these basic features for tracking changes. So you've got Show Track Changes. So that's the menu item that we saw, Show. So you can show it, or you can display them, or you can hide them. You can start recording and stop recording with this button. You can move between those individual changes. So, for example, if I'm here, I can move to the previous change or to the next change. Here we also have buttons to accept and reject track changes, which we'll look at a bit later. We can accept all the changes, we can reject all the changes. And you can see that we also have this button, which can also be this feature, Manage Track Changes. This can obviously also be accessed from here. So we've got this manage item, but you can access it from here as well. And this is actually a list of all the changes that you've made. And you can see that you've got the type of action. So here we've got two types of actions, either removing something or adding something. You've got the author, and you've got the date and time. And you also have a column for the comments. We currently have no comments now, but we're going to add a few. So you can actually add comments from here. So if you know which change you're looking at, and you can actually see that, because if you select a given change, it is highlighted in the text. So you can actually edit a comment here. So I can say, for example, grammatical issue here. Or for this one, it's the first one, I can type tab used for indentation. Okay. And now if I hover over this, you can see that this comment is also displayed. So we've got the type of change, the author, the date and time, and also this comment. However, if you don't see that, you need to turn this option on, because it's not turned on by default. You need to go to Tools, Options, and under LibreOffice, the first item, you've got General, and you've got this first option, Extended Tips. So if I disable that, I will only see the type of change, the author, and the date and time. I won't see the comment. So that's just an option that you need to turn on if you want to see those comments in the tooltips. So that's just a minor thing, but it might make your life easier. Obviously, you can also add comments from here. You can see this tooltip here saying insert track change comment. So this is different from the regular comment, right? But you need to have your cursor in the area where the change has been introduced. So now I can actually, in this case, edit the comment because I've already got a comment there. Or I can add a new comment, for example, in this area. And I can say changed language to English. Okay, so after we've made all the changes, of course, all those temporary changes will be saved with the document. So when we open the document, we will see those changes still not accepted. So we can either accept or reject individual changes. And that's done either with these buttons at the bottom in the toolbar, or you can right-click on individual items and you've got this option to accept or reject change. Or of course you can go to the menu, which is probably the least convenient way. So you can see you've got these options here. Accept, accept all, reject, reject all. So you can accept all the changes if you think that all the changes need to be made. Or you can selectively accept or reject individual changes. So I'm going to accept this change here. and this one. Right, so you can see that this we actually have two changes here. So I have to accept each of them separately. And let's say that I don't really want to delete this smiley face. I've changed my mind. So of course I can just need to put my cursor here, and I can just reject the change, and the face is back. Okay, and let me now accept all the changes. Right, so at this point I can do it because I've rejected this one, so of course all the remaining ones will be accepted. So once you accept the changes or reject the changes, then of course you have no recorded changes. So this window is empty. You're done. So I'm now going to save the changes, save the document, but I'm going to use a different name. So I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to change the name to, for example, corrected paragraphs. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to compare the documents. So there is an option to compare two documents and see how different they are. And you will see that this works in a very similar way to how these tracked changes work. So we go to the same menu, we go to Edit, Track Changes, and we have this option here, Compare Document. And we select the original document, and you can see that we've got some changes highlighted. Right? So these are actually some of the changes that we made before. Right? So you can see these changes in the paragraph. Of course, this smiley face is not highlighted because I rejected the change. So this doesn't show up. Also, this language change doesn't show up, so it doesn't really compare the languages apparently. But all the editing changes will be shown as if you've made those changes using this record option, which is now off. There is one more feature I would like to show you, which is somehow related, and that is saving versions of a document. So it's possible to have multiple versions of the same document if you want to be able to return to a previous version. And it's found in the File menu, and you can see that we have this option here, Versions. Of course, there are no saved versions at the moment, but at any time you can save a new version of the document. You can also choose to save a new version on closing. So each time you close the document, you might want to save a new version. So let me save a few versions of the file. So I'm going to go to File, Versions, and Save New Version. And here you can add a comment. You don't have to. So I'm going to leave this blank. So I've got a new version. And now, let's say I accept this change here. Let me just accept all the changes. Okay. And I'm going to save another version. And let me add a comment. Right, so I can now close. I can save the document, exit, and when I open it again, you can see that the last version appears, but if I go to versions, I can easily load the previous version. And this is opened as a new document. But you always have an option to return to an earlier version.